What's up, long players? You know the drill. Welcome back to the Long Play Listening Party, the show where we go deep on local music, writing, recording, inspiration, gear, and whatever else sounds good to us. Today, that is the 20th anniversary reissue of DJ Not a DJ's acclaimed album. And I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records, joined as always by my intrepid co-host, Nate Holt, Strawley's Music. What's going on, Nate?
How are you, Howie? How are you?
I'm all right. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit in keeping with the spirit of this record. And we have returning guest and band member, Jarrett Fulton. What's going on, Jarrett?
What is going on, Long Play team? Blessed to be here, man.
And Bob Little and Dash Williamson both
are here in spirit.
Love and hugs and kisses.
I did. Yeah, I definitely wanted to get to the other band members. So Nate's in this band as well. So before we hear anything, and we'll get to the music very quickly, but how about Nate? Can you tell our audience just a little bit about DJ Not a DJ 20 years ago, how the group started and kind of what it was then? And then Jarrett, can you tell us briefly about the reissue that's coming out?
Sure.
All right. Well, yeah, so early 2000s. I mean, we had all known each other. Bob, Dash, and I, and several other people. There's a barbecue joint called PBR. Wasn't it PBR?
Yeah, on 23rd.
Yeah, Pabst Blue Ribbon Barbecue.
Yeah.
That's what it was, yeah. And a friend of ours was the manager, and we had Sunday nights were jam nights. So there was, any number of, great musicians and stuff. And that's kind of, from there, like, I don't know how, I think, Jarrett, you asked us if we could open for a band, and
yeah, I would come down to Sunday nights and kick it with you guys. Y'all were phenomenal. I mean, it was all improv. Y'all would play some standards, a lot of fusion stuff, like Weather Report, Billy Collins stuff. It was amazing. So I'd come down there and see you guys. We had mutual friends, met you guys there, knew y'all better there. Then I was booking shows with House of Blues and Avalanche, and we had an opening spot for, I believe,
Lake Trout, wasn't it?
Well, I actually thought it was the New Deal. I think it was the New Deal was the very first one at the Bottleneck.
Okay.
But let's say it's one of those bands because that was one of the early things. And so I put you guys on as the opener, and y'all knew what the vibe was going to be.
Yeah, I think you told us what it was like. So I remember setting up in the house I was living in with another musician named Brian Egan.
That's right.
Wait, so who's in the group at this point? Because Jarrett, you're booking, but you're not in the group.
Yeah, it's just a trio. Well,
I mean,
no, I don't think those Bottleneck shows came first. Honestly, the way I remember it, Nate, I mean, that was right. That was that was like right there. Like we're right in the same month or two. We don't have to get too picky here. We are talking about 20 years ago, but yeah, basically, like I knew there was a gig. I asked Bob. I'll never forget Bob calling me. I was standing at the corner of 8th and New Hampshire, and he's like, "Look, we're going to call this group DJ Not a DJ." And I was like, okay, dude, I got shivers. Like, I was like, it was just perfect. And it was going to be the trio, you, Bob, and Dash. Yeah. And was Jerseys was the first gig I played with y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so like basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to be long-winded here. Basically, yeah. Y'all had y'all said y'all could open, came up with the concept. And it was just live and improv. And like that first night, it was a little bit of drum and bass, a little bit of 4/4 grooves.
Yeah, it was all improv. I think I had like a Roland JV 1010 module.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, I remember that thing.
The controller, and then I don't know
the Rhodes.
Actually, I had a real freaking Rhodes back then.
Yeah,
and that's what I used, and we just it was just Dash would play bass line, or I'd play some chords, and then we just play.
Yeah. And like, I ended up having a hidden agenda. I think I booked them a couple times, like opening for some bands that would come through, generally at the Bottleneck. But then I had this agenda where like I was DJing a lot at the time, and I'd been a musician my whole life, but like I hadn't been in bands yet really in Lawrence, like some just session stuff here and there. So I booked him at this place up the street, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to join you guys and DJ," and that was our first gig, and we clicked, and it went well, and then we were a band.
And you eventually made a recording.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
So and Jarrett, was that in your studio?
For a couple of years, we recorded a lot of our live shows, but we didn't really ever have songs. I think maybe we had a couple covers that we would start, but I think for a long time, at least a couple of years, we were just recording shows. And then we decided that it was time to actually make a record.
Yeah.
Time to put something down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that whole like record our shows, come home, dump the DAT, listen to the DAT, figure out some parts. We never rehearsed. I mean, that was like a secret. That was like kind of an open secret with all our peers and stuff. It's like we never rehearsed. Every show was like rehearsal for us, but it was always improv with like some sketches. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to focus and like rehone like our vision and like the best elements of our stage show into the album. And so I was living at this place. We had a studio in the house and supplemented it with some more gear, and we just started making the record while we were playing a lot of shows. Like we played a lot of shows, sometimes like 3 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but like we just played a lot. And that's kind of like where all the ideas for the record came from. Maybe some studio stuff, but I'd say like 10% of it was written just in the studio. Like 90% of it was, going through the DAT tapes and saying, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And that record, Deep Roots and Shallow Ground, released in 2003, kind of became, it was a local hit, I'll go ahead and say. And it's kind of like this international underground sort of, if you know, if you're deep into this stuff, like you guys picked up listeners across the globe, right?
We did. One big thing was like, mp3.com, and then like the beginning of like Last FM and all that stuff. Like we were getting like millions and millions of streams from those early services and stuff. And then like we had like a little bit of a boom with the Kazaa era. Like our album was getting traded quite a bit through like tapers and stuff. So like tapers like would show up. Sometimes people we knew, sometimes people we didn't. And like we'd have some people travel to like tape our shows, and then like our shows were going around like nugs.net and stuff like that. And that was really cool in like the early jambase.com days. And so that was really, really cool because there was only like 4 bands like were doing our sound at that time. And so like if you were into that, we were kind of lumped into those other 3 names. And that was
right. And just to orient people, the group that I'm familiar with from around that time doing something approximately like your sound would be something like Sound Tribe Sector 9.
Oh, absolutely. And they were influential on us in terms of like how they were presenting that sound live. I would never talk bad about any of our homies. Like we're friends, we're a little bit of friends with them. We were friends with the New Deal and Lake Trout and who else? And of course Siamese, which Saka was in that band. And so, all those guys we have nothing but respect for, but like our niche that we really tried to do the best to our ability was less jam and more focused on like the sound of the records that were influencing us and that we were playing all the time too. All of us were like crate diggers and would DJ here and there and stuff. So like we wanted that sound. So that was like our whole goal, is like we really wanted, can we sound like a good looking record, like LTJ Bookham's drum and bass label? Can we sound like that? Can we sound like a Rhinoceros House?
Incredible, because
they were incredible.
They're all incredible, but and there was Saka too. He was half man, half machine.
Now, he's Pendulum's drummer now. He's like probably the de facto. Who's the best live drum and bass drummer? It's Saka for most people. He's just amazing. It was like such a blessing to be with those guys, and all of us were coming up together and supporting each other, and it was really, really cool. And we'd share markets and any resources we all had. Like we were all a team together. It was really, really cool. It was a close-knit family community too.
Yeah, I remember that release party was at the pool room. That's
right.
Open at the time.
That was right. Yeah, Edwin Morales, Project Groove. He helped us out so much, and he was on our record too.
Well, you couldn't cue me. I just started the music. You couldn't cue me up any better than, you know, talking about the records that you were influenced by and trying to recreate the feeling of. I have, so for our show tonight, I've organized the record into the sides of the double LP reissue that we're going to talk about.
Awesome.
So we'll hear side 1 and side 2 on this week's show, side 3 and 4 next week. But the sides are mostly continuous, or there's definitely like continuity among 2 or more songs at multiple different places on the record. So it just kind of made sense to organize things that way.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, our goal with that album was to make a seamless mixtape. And so we wanted every song to like flow together like you'd hear a DJ curate a mixtape, and that was like our vibe for this record. That was our big goal. And so that opening song was like kind of a tribute to how we would start our shows. Like our shows would just start in some sort of like ambient fashion.
Yeah.
We would like, they would find a note, and we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I used the, I think it was RC30 at the time.
Yeah.
So I just have loops, or I would start loops, you know, with pads and stuff that was, you know, ambiguous, so that, you know, we could have a structure or certain notes that would fit, and you know, the whole point was, at least to me in my mind, was just creating a vibe, creating a trance, you know, for people to dance and not, you know, try to be, you know, the focus of the show. Like we were just trying to like, I'm having trouble figuring that, but.
Nate, you're leaning away from your microphone and it's gating out.
Okay. Did you understand what I was saying?
Some of it, yeah.
What I was saying is just like, you know, yeah, we would just set, you know, a kind of a key and play around that key. You know, my ambient kind of loops that I would create were kind of like the bed, and you know, I don't think any of us were, at least in my mind, trying to be the, you know, focus of the show. We were trying just to set a vibe, and that was, you know, sort of putting people into like a trance, you know, which is, you know, repetition.
Well, yeah. That's like a deep, you know, that is, you know, like a minimal techno, deep dubby minimal techno. It's all about repetitiveness, and maybe a new hi-hat appears every 64 bars or something, and the song just grows and kind of gets you into that mode. And we were always about the vibe, like, but a cohesive jam, not just like a loose noodle wave jam. A jam within a structure.
But it was a lot looser, but it was the same idea.
Yeah.
Definitely experimental. And it was definitely just, man, it was so fun to play like that. And, you know, say send it to the jazz house, we played 10 to 12, take a break, and we might have played 2 songs in that time. I mean, some of it was not good. A lot of it I thought was pretty good. Some of it was freaking amazing. But that was the fun of it.
Right, and that's part of why people listen to you guys, right? Is just that's why you have tapers, because you don't know what the show's going to be like necessarily.
I mean, and that's, not to get off topic, but that's kind of what prompted me to start just recording or going live on Instagram with, you know, groups I play with now, just because it's what it is. It's like, you know, if there's magical moments, they're there. I don't go back and listen to many of them at all, but I do remember when there's good moments, and sometimes it's nice to go back and have that, you know, be like, wow, okay. And you also learn things. I mean, you hear crappy stuff too, and you're like, okay, I know I'm not going to do that, but
yeah. I mean, we're not.
That's kind of taking it back to, you know, us these shows, listening to the tapes, and picking out, you know, the sweet stuff, and just taking it and making it, you know, turning it into a record.
Yeah. And we'd come home, unload the trailer, and like chill out at the studio and go back through the DAT, kind of like how Prince would after his shows, you know, because like we could easily be like, hey, do you remember that part of first set, second set, whatever? We could immediately go to it and remember that, because it was nice to like capture those notes fresh of the part of the night that moved us collectively, and those are the parts that made the album.
And that's part of being in a band that, you only get a certain amount of time unless you're, you know, you have some success, or, you know, something else that allows you to have the free time with, you know, 4 other people's schedules to sync up. But you know, that's a big part of being in a band back then, that, you know, you were together at the show, came home, you hung out, you wanted to listen to yourselves. And I think, you know, now it's not like we don't want to do that, but it's like everybody has, you know, we get together, we have time to practice, we have time to play the show, we have a great time playing the show, but then, you know, you have other stuff you have to get back to. You can't necessarily hang out, you know, for a whole weekend or something. Just being together. So that's what it was also really, I think, listening to this record reminds me of that time.
So like this song, for example, Nate got this keyboard called the Nord, or the MS-2000, the Korg MS-2000, and this preset that you're hearing on there is just that. It's a preset, but Nate made it unique, and like he was able to save that patch. And so like this song was literally like almost note for note a recreation of something we did live on the fly one night, and it was really cool to come home and like we would be like, oh, that 8-minute jam, like that was the song. And like the way that it worked out, we knew we wanted a guest vocalist on it. So I worked with this awesome girl at House of Blues named Regina Cruz, and she blessed us with her vocals and came by, and that was the vibe we were feeling. I'm still feeling that vibe right this moment. How good is it to be alive? And we tossed that phrase out to her, and she just did her thing.
Yeah, and it's funny, because you hear about the preset versus, you know, building your own patch or designing your own, you know, stuff from scratch. And, you know, there's merits to both arguments, I think, but, you know, the fact that this was a preset, that
you made it your own.
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, you know, but, you know, it was just that idea, you know, and I don't know how we jammed on it at shows, but it was well, I mean, that's the thing though, like we weren't using MIDI locked equipment. We weren't all sunk up with Air MIDI or anything. And a lot of technology that's around now, we just didn't have them. So we couldn't lock all our computers and gear like that, like a lot of bands can now. So like when Nate would drop some arpeggiation like this, my man Nate was like killing on the rhythm, because he would have to trigger different keys and keep the tempo locked, and otherwise the whole song would fall apart. So Nate was having to do a lot of mad science and stuff back there. Yeah, you know, because I mean, you still had I don't know if you had tap tempo, but you had the tempo knob.
Yeah.
So you just Bob was still
Bob is a metronome, so when I'm firing off samples from my decks, or like loops from my guitar, and Nate's doing the same over there, none of us were clock synced. So that was like a whole nother skill set we all kind of had to like figure out.
This was like the Korg MS 2000, based on that. But I still think that Dash's bass line is killer in the song, man.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so like live, I would be playing percussion, guitar, DJ, samples, sampler, and
just depending on the song.
Just depending on the song. What was really cool is like, and I was on vinyl and CDs at the time too, so I'd have like a ton of curated, like CDs I would make in Pro Tools, and then I would like have like 200 samples on CDs and stuff, and like have to remember what samples where's there, or just cue it up, try to get this general vicinity. But then like I would still have to lock with Nate and the drums. And so like I had some tools that had variable speed and stuff like that, but like everything was triggered live. I mean, I guess I keep bringing this up, if I can be honest. I'm just kind of proud that we didn't have MIDI clock, that we were able to keep time just on our own accord. Because it was like a juggling act every night.
Yeah, I mean, that's what made it so fun. I mean, I know it wasn't all great, but
no, not always, no.
But that was I thought that was kind of fun too. It's just like something wouldn't sound so good, but then you'd lock into either like a rhythm or something, and everybody would just come together, and then it was like off for however long. And it was.
And I know when we were making this was the very first iteration of DigiDesign. This was like Pro Tools 001, and it was like we were so happy to finally be back on a grid where everything could still breathe and have like some analog heart, but still be like conducted on a grid. That was nice for us. Keep things locked like we wanted.
Yeah, I still can't believe, man, I was hauling around in roads. So yeah, I would be hauling around in roads, and then I think I had like I don't know, it was heavy and big and blue, and it would have a tower, monitor, all the computer, like PC stuff that you have at your house.
Yeah,
we just bring it in, load it, set it up.
We were such a gear-heavy band. We were touring enough that we got a trailer, and even for local shows, like it was a production. We'd have lights and all that kind of stuff, so we had a lot of gear.
What was the tower for, Nate? You were running sounds off of it, or you were recording to it, or what?
No recording. It was
Reason.
Sound, Reason. Yep, Reason.
Oh.
I wrote Reason on stage too.
Multi-sense and stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a trip to hear this song get put together, and then playing it live. It was just like at the time, one of my favorite songs. Indie band or major label band, and I felt like I was like covering some badass band. It was super fun, man.
This song was a lot of fun to put together in the studio too, for sure.
So this is, I don't think I went through the track listing on side one. So side one, intro, Global Control, Plasticon,
Light It Up
with Regina.
Yeah.
This is Light It Up with Jesse Jackson.
Yes, sir. Bless up, Jesse Jackson.
Was it Jesse Jackson 5? Was Jesse, Rich Bologna?
Yeah.
Was it Mike Warren playing drums?
I think so. Bill Pyle was the DJ.
Bill Pyle was a DJ, and then bass player. God, I should.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. So good. Yeah, I can't remember.
I feel terrible, but that was a band, man. I would see them and just feel like, okay, well,
I know.
either gotta practice or quit.
I know. So that was a fun story. So I worked with Jesse over at House of Blues, and you know, he'd done this song with us, and you know, we were just so thrilled because we were big fans of Jesse. It was on our record, and then I was like, "Yo, my friend runs Abe and Jake's. Will you guys get back together?" And he was like, "Yeah, we'll get back together for a show." So we had him headline Abe and Jake's, and we opened the show, and that was actually one of my favorite shows ever. It was so fun. Everyone came out to see JJ5 again too, man. It was so good.
Yeah, that was back when I was like all about taking as many keyboards in as I could find. I mean, I definitely had the ones
You had the pit.
I think there's a picture from that show where I think there's a Moog that came from somewhere. I think maybe it was you, Jared.
That was my Opus 3.
Yeah, Opus, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we like to have all our tools at our disposal live, and like I said, we had a light show too. So like, it was no big deal. Like, for us, we got used to it, but it was a big deal in terms of like time commitment and stuff. Like, you're talking a 2-hour load in and setup, but we were all committed to it, so we didn't mind it, you know, and the tear down too. But we wanted to provide the best show possible, and we liked having all of our gear there too, because we wanted to have every tool so we could explore any sound that came to our mind. And most of our sets, I mean, most of our shows were like over the 3-hour mark, so we wanted to make sure we had as many flavors available and on hand as possible. So we didn't mind all the gear loading. We were younger too.
Yeah, so now the Jazz House is like,
oh God,
with one keyboard tonight. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, see, all my gear was in flight cases and so heavy, and then body stuff.
Yeah, and the Rhodes and the cabinet and
Dash's rig and all the drums. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it was a lot.
But well, when Nate's bringing a tower, you can't blame Bob for bringing all the drums.
5 snare drums, yeah.
It was almost ridiculous, but it was. But it wasn't.
All right, we're gonna keep going. Side 2, we've got Upside Down,
Chill mix,
the Chronister. Is that it?
Yes.
And Hectic Days.
Love it.
Nate Jorgensen. I'm reading off of a very small. It's very hard for me to read these song titles, so I hope I'm getting them right.
No, you are.
Perfect, man.
Yeah.
So this is this girl named Juanica that was doing a bunch of studio work at our studio, and one day, I don't know, maybe Nate asked her, but like, we had this down tempo jam, and we're like, man, we could use a female vocal, and Juanica was there, and she's like, yeah, I'll do it for you. So we just need a little vocal fragment. Rather sample you than in like another record, and so she did that for us, and that was the vibe of this song, is love, and that's what she said. And
I think there's just another preset that I tweaked a little bit, and then Dash came in with his bass line.
Oh
man, that cat is like so musical, man. It's
love that bass line, dude. This song was definitely influenced a lot by like all those cooking compilations. Oh my God, I was a down tempo DJ at the time. I was at a couple different bars, and like cooking and like Ninjitude and Ubiquity and Guidance were like some of my favorite down tempo labels. And there was like, you know, I showed the band all these records, and we're like, let's do a down-tempo track in the vein of something that those labels would release, and so that was our attempt on this song.
love little writing assignments like that. I think those are so productive. Or I find them so productive for myself anyway.
Yeah, I know. I don't do them enough.
They are so helpful. But one thing I will say like about our band is like we were never shy about like claiming influences, because like we felt like we were doing something unique. Like we're a band pulling from the crates, saying can we as a group sound like this singular production? And so that's we always kind of wore that as a badge of honor, and never like something to be shy of, like, oh, don't know our influences, don't know our records we're listening to. We love to spread the gospel on all these different artists and small labels and producers that no one knew that we just adored. So like it was an outlet for us to be like, yeah, this is a cool writing assignment, but our whole assignment as a band is to mimic these records we adore. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is like we wore that as a point of pride.
Yeah, so I hear you saying both embracing wearing those influences on your sleeve as a point of how the subculture operates, right?
Sure.
It's actually okay to do this.
Sure.
And also the way you set the group up with the live instrumentation, it's like you can bite anything as hard as you want and it's going to come out different just because of the process you're going through to arrive at your sounds.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I was trying to make a point, but I feel like I would be.
Well, I mean, in all humility, I feel like that always sounded like us, even if we did that,
right,
like through this lens. Hey, we want to sound like a cooking down tempo track. It would still sound like us because it's like Nate and it's each one of our vibes that we bring to it, like would still make it our own thing at the end of the day. So I felt it was fun to like crate dig in public in a way.
Now, Jared, did you use any tracks at any point?
Like samples?
I mean, like backing track, like some of our stems or anything.
Live?
Yeah.
Oh, it just depends. Like that percussion right there, since it was so gridded out. When we would play this stuff live, instead of me playing that on my hand sonic, like I might have some backing stuff, but I would have to catch Bob's tempo. So I could never. There might have been a few songs where like I would start with like a drum and bass loop or something like that, and Bob would play to me. 9 times out of 10, I'm adapting rhythms and samples variably on the spot to Bob's rhythm, because generally it was coming out of another song or something. So like I didn't really have a chance to be the song starter that often. I would have to have like dialogue stuff ready, sound effects, know the key. Like even though I can't read music, I'd have to just trust my ear and like, yeah, just adapt to you guys, honestly. I mean, obviously with guitar, like I would know what to do, but like with samples and stuff, that was always kind of like roulette a little bit. I like have 10 seconds to cue up something and try to get it in pitch and on time. That was fun. Kept me on my toes the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would, and I guess where I was going with this is what, we got together a couple weeks ago in Lawrence and recorded a record at KU's audio engineering department with John McCluskey, Johnny Quest, and Jared and I are like getting the stuff kind of organized and in a form where eventually we'll be able to come together and get the songs completed. But I'm like, it would be really fun to play live, but do we sequence a show and have the backing tracks that we might want, or do we just get together, jam on the songs, and figure out ways to do them without having that? Because I don't remember using many at all back then, and
well, I mean, like this song,
it's like we had a full sound,
Yeah.
It seemed like it was, anything would be dropping out, and that's a lot of like looping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just kind of talking to myself out loud.
No, I mean, I have my answer for that. But like, for example, this song, like I would have started that song with that drum loop, you know, and then have it like kept that looped the whole time because I didn't have 7 minutes of it, you know?
Right.
Like I would have to find that fragment and loop it on the fly and then like change to the next loop on the fly.
Yeah.
Like on this new album, man, like technology's changed. We both produced this record. So like, I feel like we'd have backing tracks, which I've never been embarrassed of. We'd have like certain things locked up in sync and then like do as much live as possible like we always did. But sometimes it's nice to have some backing things. I prefer having backing tracks like that.
Yeah. Mike Shabur was telling us that he's a big Motley Crue fan, and he said that I guess their last tour they went out and it was backing tracks, and Mick Mars was like, "Dude, I play this stuff. I played it. I can play it." And they're like, "No, you're gonna play, you know, the backing tracks."
Oh, that's different. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about.
Well, no. I mean, that was just kind of an anecdote. Like
oh, that's hilarious.
You know,
well,
that,
fucking
you know,
Mick Mars rules, by the way.
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh,
and so to tell him to sit there, no, you can't play that. You gotta mimic it or something. That.
No, I mean we have guide tracks. We don't have backing tracks.
Right.
You know, we're not Milli Vanilli. we have guide tracks because we only have so many hands. You know, and like a lot of our compositions have like a lot of loops and elements. So guide tracks are cool. You know, we add on top of those, and what's on top of the guide tracks is outshine on the guide tracks, you know?
And there's so much, I mean, the tools, and I don't know if either of you, like, if you're Ableton experts or whatever, but the things you could do in Ableton with live looping and stuff and having everybody in sync and mixing live loops and pre-recorded, and I've never gotten deep into that, but like, there's amazing stuff available, and that world has moved much more, I think, toward the integration where you can mix those elements, and there's just many more possibilities.
The versatility is there, and then like that freedom of expression is way more baked in now. I mean, just Ableton Lock in general, the fact that we could air MIDI each other and have our machines locked. The stuff that we all take for granted now, Nate and I mean, this band and I were dreaming of back in 2003, like literally sit around and talk about, I wish we had this, I wish we had that, I wish this existed. It all exists now. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, what we'd probably do is have a master clock, you know, drums or Jarrett, Bob or Jarrett, and then, you know, I would loop stuff and it would just be in tempo and sync.
Yeah.
And then most of the cool expression and improv and stuff would just be coming from our, you know, playing.
That's right. I mean, it's no secret within my friend group, like one of my all-time favorite bands is this band on Warp Records called Battles. And the way that Battles do their live looping, like now it's just a duo, you know, but like even when it was just a trio after they weren't a quartet anymore, like they were all like analog locked. You know what I mean? Like there was still like some CV like looping, but it wasn't MIDI locked.
Right.
And now they're MIDI locked, you know, with Ableton. But I mean, just what they could do with analog lock was amazing. But like, Battles, like best loop-based live band I've ever seen. I don't think it gets much better for me.
We kind of hang on.
Go ahead.
We just kind of, Nate, you were extremely low key about announcing that DJ Not a DJ is making a follow-up record, you know, 20 years later. You just kind of slid that in there.
Yeah.
Nate's like that though.
I mean, there's not much to say right now, but in terms of the recording, the quality of it, and hearing some of the first just
bounces,
you know, not even, you know, no effects, just what was recorded through the board is, my eyes are lit up and I can't wait to get further into this because it's I don't know. I mean, Jared, I'll defer to you as far as how much we'll want to talk about it right now, but you know.
No, I mean, there's no secrets. You know, we've been planning the re-release of this vinyl for 2 years. Wanted it to correlate with this 20th anniversary date that's special in all of our lives. And it just so happened, like, you know, at the same time we were saying, hey, we got all these tracks that we've been writing as a band together for like a year. Let's go ahead and get them done in a studio and come together. And so, I mean, like, I'll never forget, this is one of my top 10 moments in life probably, is like walking into the studio with our album on vinyl to give to everybody that I just got from the plant, and like starting the new album. Like, that divine timing was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. We're so happy to make this record. We have like probably 2 albums and an EP's worth. We stuffed like 7 days worth of recording in 3 days. Johnny Quest is an audio wizard. And we were super, I mean, in all humility, we were super prepared and just came in there. And even on the last day, got to improv for like a couple hours. So like we left with a bunch of material. Nate and I are going through everything and getting things set up. There's a little bit of sonic treatment going on right now, but really we're just like, we're all drummers too, Howie. So like each track had like, I mean, most tracks have over 100 tracks on them because there's multiple drum takes. And then like all my compositions are like very sample dense, and there's a lot of layers and stems. So, and then, you know, all this play everything too. So there's multiple, you know, there's multiple bass, there's multiple guitar, triple drums. Nate's pretty much doing most of the keyboard after the stuff I did. But you know, we're replacing some of the stuff I did with his stuff just because that's how it should be.
Sometimes I mean, sometimes it's just like, why would I even mess with this? It sounds just great, you know. And I'll add some stuff and maybe take it out to see if there's, you know, other directions to go. But I think I've gotten through 4 or 5 songs now, and I just leave in, you know, at least a couple of Jared's tracks, if not most or all of them, and add my own stuff. And it's just going to be a matter of, you know, getting the layering and the
everything you add, I think, is better. It makes things better. And also, like, this band is so special to me, and because there is literally zero ego in this band, Howie. Like, it's such a democratic process. Everyone cares about each other and respects everybody's opinion, and everyone is heard. And best idea wins. It's never a look at me show. And I think that reflects in this new album more than ever. When we started, like once we were like an official band and we were gigging and stuff, we had a vision that we want people to love DJ Not a DJ as a one sound. That's why if you open up our vinyl, it says we are a band, we are a family, and we truly feel that way. So I'm just all this to say that best idea wins out, and there's no ego, and it's about servicing the song. And that's hard to find in a group of 4 people or more. And we found it with this group, and that's very, very special to me.
Yeah, those relationships are special. And I have just listening to you now has given me a hypothesis, and tell me what you think of this.
Sure.
My hypothesis is that when band members are multi-instrumentalists or have different experiences, you're a guitarist and you are an engineer, or, you know, when you have multiple roles you can play.
Yeah.
And every member has multiple roles, that frees up a lot of that space, right? Because it's no longer like, I'm the guitarist, so there has to be a guitar on everything, or otherwise I'm not represented, right?
No.
But when everybody does multiple things, you have a lot more flexibility to move around and not even play. You know, maybe I'm a guitarist and a keyboard player and an engineer, and that gives me the confidence, I guess, to be like, you know what? I don't hear myself in this section, and that's fine. That's right. I'm somewhere else, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, that well said. And honestly, that's one of my favorite elements of this band. It's not, oh, I better have a guitar solo. Oh, I better double drum on this so people know I play drums. Oh, I better go do this. It's none of that BS. Like, does this song need this part? Okay, cool. Can Nate play that percussion part, and I'll play this keyboard part, or vice versa? Or Dash, do you want to play the drums on this song, and Bob will do this and play the bass line? Like, that doesn't always happen, but it's a possibility, and it happens often enough to where I love the flexibility of this band so much. I feel like I'm in a band with 16 people because you have 4 people that can do 4 things. And that's
a great way to put it.
It's so fun, Howie. Oh my God, it's so fun. So fun.
And I want to get back to record for a second because
Sure.
Chronister, I think, has one of the coolest bridges or transitions in the middle that, like, I'm in love with that transition.
Yeah.
I wanted to point it out and I should have, but
Yeah, it's the middle section of the Chronister for everybody who wants to hear it.
Oh man.
That was we were all learning Pro Tools. The year was like 2002. We had a Pro Tools rig and we were all learning to loop and chop and just use the device at all. So we had a lot of fun putting those drums together. Like, that little section took us a long time, but we learned a lot together.
And then in this track, the flautist is Nate Jorgensen.
Nate J.
Yep. Nagy, who I played with when we were in college together in a band called the Sugar Daddies, which is like a funk.
So good. So good.
And he is now a professor up in New Hampshire. I can't remember the college. Don't hate Nate for not remembering the college, but he's a professor of saxophone. I don't know if he has I think he has other responsibilities, larger responsibilities with the music department. But anyway, he's done very well for himself with his career and his talent at playing saxophone and educating. So it's fun to go back and hear him on this record.
Yeah.
And I've really been wanting to talk to him in person to see, kind of see how he's thinking. I probably should send him a record. I got my first order from Fat Beats today, so.
Okay, man, good.
Yeah.
Good.
That's why I posted that picture.
Yeah, we've been really happy that we have national distribution with this record, and so far so good. It literally came out officially last week. So pre-order went strong, and now we're just going to start working a little bit harder. And we'd love to sell it out like we did the first run, but we're patient too. So we just want to make sure everyone that wants to copy gets it, and we're just happy in the first place that there was a demand enough that people wanted to hear it again. Like, seriously, like, it still tickles us to this day that people wanted to hear our music again. So we never take that for granted.
It really I want to say surprised in a, it was, I felt really good to see all the people that, once we had the, put DJ Not a GG up on social media, like, it's like all these people, like, from our, old friends, newer friends, just, following us and saying they were excited to finally hear the album again and stuff. So
yeah.
And where are the good places to hear it and to pick up that vinyl?
Well, we haven't advertised at all, really. No money has been spent on marketing, just like word of mouth and maybe a few social posts between bandmates and friends and family and stuff. But let's see, Nate runs our Instagram account. You can get the record pretty much anywhere you buy records across the nation. If they don't have it, they can order it through Fat Beats. Most record stores have Fat Beats accounts, which is cool. But let's see, in Lawrence, you can get it at Love Garden. Kelly stocked a lot of copies because he is amazing. Actually, Friday night they had a listening party at Love Garden. I heard it went really well. They played it really loud, is what I was told. So that was really cool.
Really?
Yeah. They played the record from like 7 to 9 on Friday night and posted on it, and that was really cool.
Man,
and then it's available at Josie Records in Kansas City. And then like Plaid Room Records, Turntable Lab, Fat Beats. I'm missing a few, but like some of the bigger online retailers and like maybe like 15, 20 mom and pops across the nation right now. But like we haven't even like started pushing the distro yet or like really reaching out to all the stores yet. We're just kind of letting things kind of like bubble up organically and then maybe get a little bit of momentum going, and then we'll start working it a little harder. But yeah, I don't know.
What about mixtapemeditation.com?
Thank you, Howie. You can go to the label's website and get it there. Thank you. My man, Howie, thank you.
I got you. And listeners, we'll have you next week with sides 3 and 4 of Deep Roots and Shallow Ground. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have fun. We've been the Long Play Listening Party. Later.